All right, so we are live on YouTube. I'm trying something different this morning, so bear with me. I've got a camera. I was hoping to improve my lighting. And of course, today it's cloudy, so I can't tell if it's going to improve my lighting or not. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Not terrible. Not terrible. Well, the camera anyway. I don't know about the lighting still. Let's see. Get on live here. Live on Facebook. Quick little readjust. Yay, I think that's gonna work, maybe. All right. So we've got just a few more minutes before we get started. How is everybody this weekend? Oh, I don't know why I keep looking over there. The camera's over here now. So sorry about that. That's gonna take me a minute. Hang on. Do you need me to close this? Okay. That way my husband can be as loud as he wants to be. All right. So, good? Pretty good. Today, we're going to be working on strengthening the core. I can't see anything from here. You don't like it. All right, hi, Barb. Amy, good morning, Amy. Oh, the sun is shining there. Not here so much. Hopefully it won't rain on me, though. That would be fun. How is everybody over here? All right. Morning, Sandy. All right, guys. Oh, hi. Hi, Diane. Oh, thank you. I know the bamboo is beautiful, beautiful backdrop, gives us lots of privacy. The birds are crazy here. And this wonderful tree we have here is starting to bloom and have beautiful leaves on that. So it's spring, even though it doesn't look so lovely. Right? All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and get started this morning. And the last couple of weeks, we've been working on poses that really are dependent on our core. So let's work the core, right? Everything really comes from here anyway. Even when you start talking about philosophy, everything comes from the middle, right? So that's where we want to draw our energy. So keeping that in your brain always, because otherwise the lower back is going to take over, and that's how we hurt our lower back, right? So starting from the middle, keeping it strong, and everything else improves, right? So that's where we're going to be. I joked, I don't know, a few weeks ago about 20 minutes of Navasana, boat pose. We won't do that. We'll do a few other things, right? So just quick checking in here. All right, guys. So let's go. We're going to start seated. If you want to prop your hips up on a block or on a bolster or something else, you're welcome to do that here. So taking your inner thigh rotation, making sure the pelvis is upright. We won't be here terribly long, but it all starts from here, right? Everything. And that includes the position of your pelvis. So lifting the pelvic floor, feel that action. A little bit of in and up with the lower belly, So I talked about your belly button. So from the belly button down, in and up like an ice cream scoop. That's where, when I say core, that's where I'm talking about. These muscles here are beautiful, but not as important as the ones down here. Right? These don't protect your lower back, but these will. So that's where we're talking about. Sit tall through this side so that you feel engaged. And you can rest into your hips and shoulders here, right? A lot of times, if you're not using your core, we're squeezing the knees, we're kind of leaning forward, maybe hanging on even a little bit, right? So get that going in your brain. Keep it engaged. Go ahead and close your eyes. Checking in and finding your breath here. And as you allow that breath to expand, notice if when your upper belly rises and falls, if you lose your lower belly a little bit. And if that is happening, just really stay engaged. Do your best. It's a weird thing for a long time. Finding those nice big breaths. Keeping the focus inward. We'll begin to add movement. So let's stretch the arms out to the sides. On an inhale, reach the arms up. And then exhale, bring them back down again. We'll do that again, inhaling up. And then exhaling down. Let's go once more. Staying nice and tall here. Still engaged through the middle, that helps. Bring the left hand over to the right knee, the right hand behind the back. Just a gentle little twist over to the right. Notice if that changes the sensations in the belly. And then we'll gently release that, come back through the center, over to the second side. Come back to the middle. One more time over to the right. So using your right hand, press into the floor, sit extra tall. Pulling against the knee to rotate the belly around. Up through the side ribs, maybe a little bit more this time. Taking your shoulder back. Look over your shoulder if that feels good here. And then nice and easy, releasing that side and taking your deeper twist on your second side. Take your time, use your arms, find tons of length through your spine, and make sure your belly stays engaged. And then let's release that, coming back to center. From here, nice and gentle, let's bring it around, hands and knees. We're going to be here a little bit, so make sure you're engaging your abs, make sure you're cushioning your knees or your hands if that's what you need. Belly in. So from here, just some cat-cows to begin. Inhale the belly toward the floor. And then exhale, rounding your spine toward the ceiling. Gentle in and out. Actually working into those tighter spots through your spine. Let's do once more in each direction. And And then we'll find that center. So again here, really engaging through your abs. Let's go ahead and extend the right leg back. Push through the heel. Make that leg work like you're standing on it. From there, extend the left arm forward, reaching away from the body in opposite directions, feeling all of the muscles through the middle, right? So it's certainly not just your arm and leg holding you here. And then we'll release that side. Same idea on the second side. Take your time getting there, wherever there is. Make sure the left leg is active. When you're ready, the right arm engages. We're breathing. We're wobbling maybe a little bit. That's normal. And then release that side. So let's go back to the first side. Right leg, left arm. Keep the idea of stretching away from the body. Make sure your belly is working at least as hard as your arm and leg. Take the arm over to the left and bring your leg around to the right. Press through your heels, stretch through your fingertips. You're breathing. Release your hand and take the toes over to the side. We're going to come on up on this left knee. So again, if you need to be cushioned, definitely cushion. Let's extend the left arm. I'm going to reach over the outside of the right leg here. Keeping the shoulder drawn back so the chest is opening more toward the ceiling than the floor. And then nice and easy, let's come back up to the center. Release the hands back to the mat. Lift the foot up off the floor, let it hang out there for a second. And then take it back and drop it down. So working our second side, same idea. Extend left leg and right arm. Reaching away from the body when you're ready, arm over to the right and the leg around the left, and hold here. Breathe. It doesn't matter how high the hand and foot are, just reach away as much as you can. Release the fingertips, go ahead and take the toes to the side and come up on the knee here. So again, adjusting if you're not exactly where you want to be, of course. Let's reach the right arm up, we're taking it over. And then gently back up again, releasing the hands. So let's lift the toes, hold that leg out. Doesn't have to be high. Take it back and then down again. And of course, the last one here, one more time, right leg, left arm. We'll go ahead and bend at the knee. Take the hand around, see about finding your foot. Work with your balance, maybe lifting your toes. Watch that the knee points more at the floor than out to the side. And then gently release, stretch the leg out long. Take it back down. And let's go second side, last one here. Left leg, right arm. Bending when you're ready and finding the foot over here. Just acknowledge that each side's a little different, so take your time. Let's gently release it, stretching long again. And back down. So nice and easy, go ahead and sit back on your heels. Take a child's pose, just take a little mini break. Mini, of course. And then from there, make your way into down dog. And always in this first down dog, just let yourself move and stretch and wiggle. And as you begin to settle in, make sure even here you're thinking about your belly. There's so much going on in down dog that it's easy to forget. Take a quick shift into plank. And if you forgot your belly here, definitely engage. And then back to our down dog. Stepping the right foot roughly halfway to the hand. So we played with this side plank last week. Let your toes turn out to the side, rolling to the outside edge of your left foot here. So just holding for a little second, belly's in, shoulders are stacked. You can definitely reach the right arm toward the ceiling if that's you. And then we're going to release that back to down dog. And switch sides, so the left foot's going to step halfway-ish. Rolling to the outside of the right foot. The hips are stacked, the shoulders are stacked, your belly's working at least as much as this little arm, right? And then back to your down dog. This time here, instead of stepping halfway up, we're going to take the right foot and step it to the outside of the right hand-ish, roughly, right? So you can wiggle around into your hips a little bit, wake them up this morning. And if the foot didn't land next to the hand, don't worry about that. Just kind of notice where you are, right? Step it back, down dog. So if you were more concerned about getting your foot to the hand, this time be more concerned with pulling your lower belly in, right? So really engaging through your core. And now do that again, right hand to the outside of the right foot. And sometimes when you think more about your belly, the foot gets closer to where you wanted it to be. Sometimes. Or maybe not just yet, but that's the idea. Let's step back again. And then one more time like that. Keep your focus on your belly, but step as intentionally as you can. Foot to the outside of the hand. Try not to land like an elephant. Try, right? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Last time, go ahead and step back, down dog. So we're going to play with that same idea to the second side. Let's go ahead and step the left foot to the outside of the hand. Again, just let yourself kind of shift and wiggle once you get there. Stepping back. Focusing a little bit more on the belly, if you weren't already. And then stepping that foot to the outside again. Maybe a little closer, maybe a little bit more, what's the word? Intentionally. And then back. One last time. As lightly, intentionally, with the belly pulled in as you can, left foot to the outside of the hand. And then we'll step back. So let's go ahead and drop on down to the knees, give your arms a little bit of a break. Because then we're working too, right? Your focus is more, hopefully, more on your arm, on your belly and maybe your leg or your foot. But the arms, we're doing quite a bit of work. Let's move back into our down dog again. This time here, take the right leg straight back. So lifting the toes away from the floor. Don't necessarily worry about high. Extend through your heels. Stay as engaged in your middle as you can, even on your hands, and then take the foot out to the right. So maybe up off of your hip, maybe not quite. You can always bend at the knee to make it a little bit less intense. Go ahead and bend at the knee if you haven't already, and squeeze that knee into your chest. Think nose to knee, round up through your spine a little bit, come up on your back toes, And step the right foot intentionally between your hands, maybe. Drop on down to the back knee. Adjust your toes to the top of your mat if you need to. And then let's go ahead and take the right leg straight. Play with that, of course. If you need to prop. If you need to adjust at one point or another, definitely do. And just notice how when the belly is engaged, things tend to work out a little bit easier, maybe a little bit more precisely. Let's bend into the knee and let the hips come forward. So with the belly drawn in, it tends to keep the pelvis really square. But if you still need to here, use your legs to square up the pelvis, kind of drawing them toward each other, belly in. And then let's take the hands. If they need to be on the mat, then they need to be on the mat, certainly. Otherwise, take the arms down by the sides of your body, so kind of hugging into your hips. So handsless, right? Keeping this nice long line that we have from the crown of the head to this left knee, roughly a nice long line, right? Maybe take your arms out to the sides. Make sure the belly stays pulled in. You're working a little bit harder through your middle. If that's good, you're done. Otherwise, how about extend the arms in line with the ears, reaching forward-ish. And then if that's not fun enough, gently lift your upper body, coming more vertical. Make sure the belly's doing the work, right? Not your back. And then gently release it back down. We're gonna make our way back to down dog. All right, let's go second side. Lift the left leg straight back. Staying centered as much as you can. Take the leg out to the left. A bent knee if you need a bent knee, absolutely. And then bend if you haven't already. Hug that knee to the chest. And then step forward into lunge. Right knee will drop. You can adjust your toes. Make yourself happy here. When you're ready, take the left leg straight. And then bend. Pulling the belly in, pulling the legs toward each other so we're nice and square. Leave the hands on the mat if that's where they need to be, or propped up on a block, whatever you got to do there, or down by your sides. So handsless, so to speak. Arms extended out to the sides, maybe. Or extending forward, arms alongside the ears. Try not to just drop your head to make it easier. Make sure your belly's doing the work and lift the upper body. Let's gently release. And step back, down dog. Dropping back into a child's pose, take a little mini break again. And then back to down dog. We'll walk the feet forward, make your way to a standing fold. Feet up underneath the hip bones. Watch for your knee ankle alignment here. Legs are straight, so maybe you're not touching your toes. Don't worry about that. Hands can be up on your shins if they need to, of course. And then we're going to slide them up to the thighs here, bringing the upper body parallel to the floor. So this might be the work, right? This is not necessarily the easiest thing you've ever done. So leaning on your legs here if you need to. Try not to bend your knees. Try not to shift your hips back, right? Make the muscles work, belly especially. But the arms can help, right? Always protecting that lower back no matter what. So hands on thighs if you need. Otherwise, just like when we're in lunge, bring the arms down by your sides, right? Down by your hips and waist. Shoulders back, bellies in. If you feel the knees bend or the hips shift back, that's where you know you're done. Take a step back. Maybe the arms out to the sides. So adding a little bit of body weight. I know the temptation is to lean into your heels. Try not to. How about arms alongside the ears? Again, don't just drop your head. If it's too much, you take that step back, right? Wherever you are, bend your knees, sit back into a chair. So maybe your arms are extended. Maybe you're hanging on. Okay, you can come center or extend. Take a nice big breath. Belly still working here. And then inhale, stretch to the ceiling. And release it. All right. So let's go ahead and move into some sun salutes. Remember your lower belly, right? Even when you're doing a million other things, this is where it's coming from, right? So let's inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, take yourself into fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. Exhale, step yourself back into plank. Drop on down to the belly. Take the knees, of course, if you need. Little roll into your shoulders for a nice little easy cobra. And then release. Keep the elbows in, up and back, down dog. Inhaling, step forward, fold. Halfway up on an inhale. Keep that flat back. Exhale over again. And then reach to the ceiling all the way up. Exhale, release it all. So again, just like that, simple. Inhale and fold. Halfway up. Back to plank. Down to the belly. Roll into a cobra, maybe a little pull, moving a little deeper. Release it, up and back, down dog. Inhaling to step forward. And then coming halfway up. Exhale over. Reach it all the way to the ceiling. And then release. Adding on with this next one, make sure you're following your breath. Take an extra breath here or there if you need. Let's inhale into a chair. And then take it over into the fold. Halfway up. Back to plank and down to the belly. Roll, pull, maybe a little press to your cobra. Releasing that, up and back, down dog. This inhale, the right foot steps forward to lunge. Work your toes intentionally, right? Heel or knee to the mat and lift the upper body. Coming back down again, step back, down dog. Forward into plank. And down. Roll to your cobra. Releasing, down dog. And then the left foot gets to step forward. Heel or knee to the mat and lift. Take it down. Step back, down dog. Slide into plank. And drop on down. Inhale, cobra. Back to down dog. So hold your down dog or drop into child's pose. Find those nice, big, controlled breaths. Notice what your belly is doing. Is it habit to let go? Take one more nice, big breath. If you dropped into child's pose, lift back to a down dog. And with an inhale, step the feet forward into fold. Halfway up. Exhale over again. Into chair, inhaling. And then exhale, release it. All right, so let's move the right foot, big step back. We're gonna move into triangle. So check out your feet. Left toes point forward, right toes cut in a little bit. Body is as open to the long edge of the mat as you can manage, right? So if your hips are a little tighter, your right toes are gonna point more forward. If you can have them point more out to the side, give that a go. But watch this front knee, right? If you go too far, it'll start dropping in on you, right? So keeping the alignment, just letting it be what it is. But the belly works like crazy here. Right? If you let the chest come forward and the bum stick out behind you, you tend to use your back. Stay upright. It isn't going to be upright in a second, but staying upright, belly's working. We're going to stretch the arms out and reach over the left toes as far as we can reach. So stretching forward, keep the left side of your body long, and then let your left hand fall, and the right arm's gonna lift up toward the ceiling. So you're kind of stacking your shoulders, kind of. Okay. So you can lean on the leg if you like. You can find a block, a chair even. You can be leaning on the seat of a chair here. And if you are leaning into this left hand, lean a little bit less. And if you don't really need to lean, just let your arm dangle down from the shoulder. Make sure your belly's working. If this is enough, this is enough. But what if you could take the left hand and reach forward, or arm in line with the ear idea, right? You breathe in, you feel your core, make sure you're feeling that. If it sounds like fun, extend the right arm alongside of the ear. So you've got options, right? Always. Take another breath. Release it over into a lunge. Up on the back toes, so now that right hip can come forward. And then if you can just pick the foot up into warrior three, go ahead. Otherwise, hop this right foot in until you can lift it away from the floor. And then that leg is straight and strong. Your belly is pointing toward the floor now rather than the side, right? Keep that. So this is just like when we had 2 feet on the floor. The hands can stay on the mat if you need. Or climb up on the thigh and bring your upper body parallel to the floor. So again, that looks familiar, right? Shoulders back, belly's working, the arms down by the sides, up the shoulders, or stretching forward. You decide. Tons of options. Make sure you're breathing. Your back isn't doing all of the work. Take another big breath. Release it all over into a fold. And let yourself hang here for a second. Maybe a little bend in your knees. You can grab opposite elbows, let your head hang out, shake it off. If the knees are not already, go ahead and bend. And then roll up through your spine, one vertebra at a time. All the way up to the top. All right, so now you get to do your second side. Okay. Left foot steps back. Check into your toes, right? Right toes are definitely pointing forward. That knee is in line, yes? And then the left toe is ideally more to the side than the front, but your hips determine that. Okay. Belly's in, shoulders are back. We'll extend the arms, reach forward, so there's length, and then let the right hand fall and the left hand lift. So you're leaning if you need to be leaning, or you're leaning less, or letting the arm dangle maybe. If this is enough, this is enough. Listen to your body. If you want more, you add the arms. Right arm, maybe the left. Maybe the left for a second and then not. Right? Watch how your body is responding. Do you need more? Maybe the answer is no. Take one more breath. And then release it over to a lunge. When you're ready, hopping the back foot in, lifting it away from the floor. So find stable here, right? Before you start to add all the fun stuff. Maybe the hands on the floor, maybe just one up, both. Lifting the chest parallel, flying the arms. Tons of places to be. Take your time. If you move too quickly, a lot of times that'll make it fall down all by itself. Check in. What's doing most of the work? Are you breathing? Yes, you must breathe. And then we'll release it back over into the fold again. Let's go ahead and step back into our down dog. And then we'll drop down to the knees and sit back into a child's pose. So from there, come up onto your forearms and knees. So for right now, we want to make sure that the hips are over the knees, not leaning back or forward. So find that place. And then bring your elbows up underneath your shoulders. And we always, almost always, think the shoulders are wider than they are because that feels more stable, right? But it also can put a lot of pressure on the shoulder joint, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to bring the elbows in, grab the outside edge of your opposite elbow. That's pretty much the place, right? If you have a mirror and you can check yourself, certainly do. Otherwise, that's a pretty good gauge. From there, the forearms can either be out in sphinx so that they're parallel to each other, but like truly parallel to each other, right? These two long lines. The elbows tend to get wide, the hands tend to sink in. If that's happening, interlace your fingers, right? Go with it. It's the body and your shoulders way of telling you that's enough, right? But if you can have the parallel, lovely, but everything hits the floor, right? So that outer wrist likes to lift. If you're in the sphinx, your thumbs tend to pull away. Really make sure you've got that foundation. And I know that sounds like minutia, but it's important. It's as important as your belly. So press down into the forearms and imagine pulling them together up underneath your body. And if you did let your belly go, you just felt it again, right? Feel it? Tuck the toes under, lift the knees away from the floor, and see about pressing your chest back toward your thighs. So working into this dolphin pincha position, maybe looking up between your elbows unless that bothers your neck. If your head is hitting the floor, maybe come down. It shouldn't be touching the floor. But notice if you're pushing away from the floor with your forearms enough. If you're not, if you're sinking, then your head is going to hit the floor, right? So there's lots of reasons that could be happening. Just do what's right for your body. And again, we're not leaning on our head here. I want to teach inversions at some point, but that's going to have to be something else. Drop down to your knees and sit back into child's pose again. So we're going to work that idea again here, coming up onto your forearms, hips over knees, elbows under shoulders, forearms where you want forearms to be. And you can change your mind. You can play with them, right? But notice what's going on and where you need to be. So push down, pull together up underneath. Belly's working like crazy. Maybe leaving the knees on the floor this time, but shifting chin towards your thumbs and then back up again. Right? So forward and back like that. Make sure your belly's working. And if that's really no big deal, you're not exactly sure what you should be feeling here, lift your knees away from the floor and you'll know. Forward and back. You can take a couple off your knees And then maybe drop back down. You can take one up, you can stay on your knees. You can take any variations of this that you need, right? Same idea though, keep your belly in, keep your arms pulling toward each other and pushing down into the floor. Do one more of whatever your choice is, and then drop on back to a child's pose again. We've got one more variation of that. So come back up onto your forearms and knees. And you can always practice something that we've already done, right? So simply holding here, using your arms, coming away from the knees, maybe leaving your knees on the floor, coming forward and back with your shoulders. Or same idea, setting everything up just like you did before, no change. Push down, pull together with the forearms, make sure your belly is in. This time, this variation, we lift the knees and we leave the shoulders where they are. So the chest is pressing back toward the thighs. And instead of the upper body coming forward and back, you're going to bring the lower body forward. So walk your toes closer to your elbows and then walk them back out again. So the upper body stays still, but the lower body comes in and out, right? So remember, you've got all of those options. You can do one of this and then, oh, that's too much. And then you drop back to a little bit of that. And then you do a couple of those and you're feeling a little rusted and you move into something different. So listen to your body. Yeah, listen to your body, not your ego. Do one more of whatever variation you're working. And then come on down, resting back in your child's pose again. If you like, of course, the hands can come back by the heels and let your shoulders rest a little deeper. From your child's pose, go ahead and slide forward out onto your belly. So we're going to be down on the floor for a little bit. Make sure that your tailbone stays turning toward your heels and your pelvis is grounded into the mat really evenly. And then the tops of the feet are actually going to ground into the floor. A lot of times in locust, we lift the legs too, but today we're just going to work with the upper body to really kind of seal in that the core encompasses all around. Okay? So feet on the floor, pelvis rooted into the mat. Let's take the arms down by the sides. So we're just going to roll our shoulders like we do for cobra. Bring them up by your ears, together on your back and down toward your hip bones. The chest will lift away. Shoulders drawing toward each other, fingertips reaching toward the heels. You can have your fingers interlaced behind your back here if you prefer that variation. Entirely up to you. But it's sort of like having the arms down by the waist when we were in our lunge or when we were in our warrior 3. Let's release that back down. And if that was a boatload of work, you can leave the arms down by your sides. But if you want to add a little bit, we'll take the hands and make a little pillow for the head. So the palms are stacked. You're going to rest your forehead on your hand. And now your forehead is glued to your hand. So if your head lifts, your hands have to lift too. And if the hands lift, the elbows have to come up off the floor as well. Right? So root down into your feet, root down into your pelvis. Do the exact same thing with the shoulders that we did. Up together, down toward the hip bones, and the chest curls away from the floor a little bit. There's extra body weight here, so don't be surprised if you don't lift as much up off the floor. This idea is the same as having the arms out to the sides, but we tend to sag a little bit with our head. So play with exactly where the arm position is. Take one more breath. and then release back down. And remember, if at any point this is too much, you've got the options with the arms, or you always have the option to skip it. Right? Nobody's watching. But don't get, too complacent. Don't start just laying on the couch. That doesn't count. So you've got one more option. Feet resting or pressing into the floor, pelvis down into the mat. The arms down by your sides, taking that little pillow, or fully extended forward with the head in line, with the ears in line with the arms. How's that? Right? So if your head lifts this time, your arms have to lift too. You decide. So roll your shoulders just like we've been doing, curling away from the floor. So keeping the head in line with the spine and the arms in line with the ears. The head tends to dip, so the arms don't have to be as high. Change where they are. Take one more breath. And then release whatever you got. Make the little pillow for your head. Turn your toes toward each other. Rock a little bit, maybe side to side on your hips. And then we'll come center. Have to get yourself up off the floor just one more time. So hands next to the side ribs, hug those elbows in. See about lifting the belly and chest away from the floor at the same time. Take it up to a kneeling plank and then back into a child's pose. So we're going to use our forearms one last time here. Maybe knees, maybe not, right? So come forward out onto your forearms and knees. Grab opposite elbow. Take the arms out, sphinx or interlaced. Still, same idea applies. Press down, pull together up underneath. Instead of simply lifting the hips up and hiking the body for a down dog kind of idea, step the feet back for plank. So now if your bum is sticking up in the air, it might feel a little easier. Try not to let it droop, finding the middle. So it should be really challenging. Pressing through your heels, make sure your belly's doing the work. If you let your belly go, your lower back's going to be bad. Shoulders neutral on the back. What about lifting the right foot? And then releasing that. And lifting the left. Release that. Take the knees down. Last time, go ahead and sit yourself back into a child's pose. Take the hands back by the heels. Leaving your hands where they are, sit up on your heels. We like to rely on our arms to do stuff, but we don't need that. Take the legs around front. Maybe bounce them out a little bit if you feel like you need that. Taking the time to be aligned, so finding that inner thigh rotation. Sitting up nice and tall. Belly's working like crazy, right? So we're going to lead the hands back up by the hips to start. So you are a long straight line. From the crown of your head back through your hips. Yeah? Keep that. Hinge forward. So if you have tight hamstrings, you may have barely moved. It's okay. Keep your legs strong as if we were standing up. Belly's working like mad. So maybe the arms out to the sides, off the shoulders. Shoulders are back. You've got that straight long line. Right? So you're adding a little bit of body weight, but maybe not enough. So you can extend the arms alongside the ears. Head stays in line with the spine. Don't droop. You're not reaching for your toes. Straight line from the fingertips through the hips. Take another big breath. And then we'll hinge up, arms where they need to be, releasing them to the sides. So just a little bit more, and it's not 20 minutes worth, but a little bit of both. So bring your feet flat to the floor. If you're far back on your mat, you'll want to scoot forward because we will be rolling back in a moment. Hang on to your hamstrings, lift your chest. Already, if you let it go, you should feel your belly having kicked back in, and this might be enough. Right? Just holding here, your abs are working. Maybe you lift the toes away from the floor. Keeping the knees closer to the body than farther away. Right? If you take your legs away from the chest, your back starts doing more of the work. You can leave your toes low, you can bring your toes high, you can reach them toward the ceiling. And you can hang on or let go in any of those places. Make sure it's your belly doing the job. Again, if you let your legs kind of fall away from your chest, your lower back takes over. So keep them squeezing in. And then do something that makes you shake at least a little bit. Bring the soles of the feet together. Hang on and pull the heels in toward the groin. Stay balancing if you can. And then go ahead and release. Roll on down to your back. Keep the soles of the feet together. And when you get there, let the feet come to the floor. So the soles of the feet are still together. The knees are resting out to the sides. And you get to release your lower belly. Your hips, of course. You may feel this in your back. It feels like a nice little release in your back. We'll gently bring the knees back together. Just a little bit of a stretch for the front side here. So we're going to work with bridge, bringing your feet flat to the floor, heels pretty close to the hips, not quite touching, that's too close. And then the arms as tight down the sides of your body as you can manage, pressing down into the triceps. Pull your heels towards your hips, gently lift your hips away from the floor. So we're looking for a stretch in the belly and the hip flexors to sort of release what we did there in boat. So the hands can stay where they are, they can interlace behind your back, and you can tuck under and come a little higher, wherever you want to be. Keep the feet pulling toward the body, make sure your lower back is happy about all of this. You don't have to go terribly high to feel the nice stretch. One more breath. And then nice and easy, bring it down. Keep your feet flat to the floor for just a couple of breaths. And then gently draw your knees to your chest. And let yourself rock just a little. So you decide here in this final twist what variation you want. You can have your knees closer to your chest. You can have your feet more to the floor. Open your arms out into a T position. Maybe you shift your hips first, but wherever you go, let your legs fall to the right. And just like with whatever variation you want, you can choose whether to work more or to release more. So if you feel like you need an added stretch that gravity's just not giving you, you can work for it, or you can just let go and melt into it. We'll take another nice big breath here. And then gently make your way back up to the middle. And whatever variation you've done on the first side, take the second side, same idea. Choosing how much or how little to work into the twist. Let's take another nice big breath here. And then gently make your way back up to the middle again. When you're back to center, just gently draw the knees back to the chest and rock. Shake it all off. Squeezing those knees to the chest, pull the forehead toward the knees, let your spine round. And then release, full body stretch. Releasing that stretch. Let the arms come down by your sides and just find a comfortable position. So whether that's completely flat on your mat, maybe you want your feet flat, or maybe a seated position is better for you today. Find where comfortable is. You can absolutely lean up against the wall, sit up on a block, hop behind your knees or your head. And then once you find that comfy spot, release into it. Let your belly go. Release control of your breath, but try to stay focused on it. Keeping your mind quiet and allowing yourself just a few minutes to rest deeply. Slowly draw in a deep cleansing breath and then let that all go. Allow the body to begin to wiggle, move, and stretch. When you're ready, taking the feet flat to the floor, gently rolling yourself to the side. Take your time. Bringing yourself into a seated position, sitting well. We'll draw the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Thanks for coming to play with me today, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you'll feel it a little bit when you roll out of bed in the morning tomorrow. So enjoy your weekend. Remember, if you have suggestions for poses, things you want to try, I can't get too complicated because I can't see you to make corrections, but I will do what I can. And visit anydayyoga.com. I've got some goodies coming up, so you'll definitely want to check that out. And have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye, guys.